John MacArthur says some really, really helpful things about discernment and critical thought and when to be, as society would see it, confrontational. When to call forward false doctrine or when to call forward a lack of wisdom or unrighteousness, both in our relationships and our relationships with fellow believers and also in society at large. There's a really great article that kind of summarizes some things that John MacArthur has said over the last several years about discernment. And I'm going to want to read some sections to you because I found it very helpful and I hope that you find it helpful too. It said, confrontation and criticism are not forbidden in the church, but they must be undergirded with humility and purity. We do a great disservice to the body of Christ when we confront and judge one another in arrogance and self-righteousness. But as John MacArthur writes, we also do damage to the church if we fail to exercise godly judgment and discernment when it's warranted. So John MacArthur says, there's also a danger, however, even for the truly humble and repentant believer. The first danger is of concluding that we have no right to oppose wrong doctrine or wrong practices in the church, lest we fall into judgmental self-righteousness. Believers must be discerning and make proper judgment when it is required. The second danger is closely related to the first. If we're afraid to confront falsehood and sin in the church, we will be inclined to become undiscriminating and undiscerning. The church and our own lives will become more and more in danger of corruption. And the summary of what MacArthur said is, discernment does not have to lead to division. If we faithfully follow the pattern that Christ gave us, we will be able to confront one another out of love and humility, not arrogance and self-righteousness, and we'll be able to humbly accept the input of others without rushing to defensive arguments and judgmental retaliation. I thought this last section really described well how our culture is, right? Defensive arguments and judgmental retaliation. There's such a polarization between opinions and thoughts. And so it feels like we're just building on top of such a kind of like self-offended culture as it is. And it's hard to know when to call something forward. But I think the Bible gives us a really great model of how we are to be bold and to proclaim truth while also being humble in spirit and willing to yield, willing to listen. We're not yielding on truth, but we are willing to listen and to understand and to love that person in a way where they understand we love them, but the love that we're giving them is not a cultural surfacey love. It is a love that speaks truth, that is eternally relevant and eternally important to that person, whether they realize that or not. I hope that helps you.